Welcome to another movie plot and enjoy the memories.
Eyes down!
We begin in the year 2133 with humans recovering from a nuclear war. The largest city of survivors is a clifftop society dedicated to restoring civilization called the Pax. A scientist named Isiah walks his lion while surveying the area and is over a foot taller than anybody else in this place. His team leader Dr. Dillon has the origin story of being cryogenically frozen in the 1970s and thawed out over 100 years later. This makes him smarter than your average cave dweller and given a semi-portable recording device so that he can monologue directly to the audience. In a vivid retelling of his last mission, the team was attacked by a military party of mutants called the Kreeg. They drive vehicles almost as old as Dillon, who spends most of his report talking about how Pater with an A kept slowing them down. There's no reason why Grandpa should even be on this recon mission in mutant country, but it's the future girl Harper who they capture. The Paxian people are a peaceful society, so Dillon's gun only shoots tranquilizers, but for budgetary restraints they're also invisible. He takes out the driver but has run out of bullets, which we can only tell by him throwing the entire gun away. Using his vintage judo, Dillon saves Harper and is about to go Jack the Ripper on the mutant, but she says we don't do that in the future. He gives him a helping of pacifism instead. Then the group retreat to the city, but Pater gets shot in the back even though he's in front of everyone. Talk about slowing us down, but Isiah holds off the enemy, destroys one of their guns, carries Pater onto the train, and isn't even our main character. That honor goes to Dillon, who tries to palm it off to Baylok the psychic surgeon in hopes that he can heal Pater with an A. This man was just shot in the back, so Baylok's standard treatment of cranial hand hovering doesn't work, but at least he tried. He tries again when they get back to the city, but Baylok says that the only doctor who can save Pater went missing a year ago. A good place to start looking would be the village of Amazonian women called the Confederacy of Ruth, who enslave men as punishment for destroying the world. They send the same team, even the uniquely valuable psychic doctor, and everything is put on the 21-year-old girl, so I have high hopes. While Isiah and Baylok search other villages, she leads Dillon by his throat up to the leader of Ruth, hoping to join the Confederacy. Marg's like, yes, this man pleases my eyeballs. Then Pimp slaps Harper off her horse and steals him because that's just how this woman rolls. Arriving back at her village, we see all of the males kept in easily escapable cages, but they're all too scared to flee. Marg delivers her latest catch to the slave master to be sold for labor because he came too willingly and doesn't have a breeder's spirit. Villar straps Dillon to a post until he can be trained and throws him in with the skittish men that are called dinks when broken in. Inside are Isiah and Baylok, but they've already been reduced to quivering dinks and are being sold today as farmhands instead of tomorrow as breeders. These women don't want to explode during childbirth, so Bronta and Delba only bid on the giant Isiah for labor. Baylok tells Dillon that the only thing they consumed since arriving was the food, so he figures that it must have been drugged. The psychic is also sold off for much less, I assume, and the women begin checking out the newcomer because they all want a piece of the dill. Even Villar's assistant Thetis demands to know the angle of his dangle before they begin bidding, but that will happen on the day. During this time, Harper wakes up from her coma and wanders around the wilderness until the sun sets, as it was that hard of a slap. She stumbles across a property where the wealthy Treece lives with a whole bunch of kids and her sober lover. She challenges Harper to a fight for no reason, but the cave dweller is a much better fighter when she isn't being suckered. The loser Treece holds no resentments in her loss and gives Harp a change of clothing while suddenly turning into Mrs. Exposition. She says that Marg is only their leader because she knows the secret formula for dink doping. However, it caused birth rates to plummet, which is why Treece is the only one with a bunch of kids, because she doesn't dope her dink. Meanwhile, it's dinner time in Dink Town and Villar keeps a close eye on Dillon to make sure he eats all his slop. Fortunately, the guy next to him loves this crap, so he's able to keep switching bowls to appear like his own is depleting. This allows Dill to sleep outside with the rest of the dinks, so that night he's able to sneak out and begin the search for their missing doctor. He also almost takes a hostage when Thetis discovers him, but Villar dinks the dink unconscious and tells Marg that she wants a refund. The leader thinks about executing the troublemaker but decides to give him a large straight dose of the formula instead. This reduces our protagonist into an obedient slave terrified of his own shadow, so the next day we got ourselves an auction. Women come from all over to purchase this dink for the purpose of breeding, but Marg begins having second thoughts about selling him. As the girls rip off his clothes, she reaffirms her claim on Dillon because if anybody is going to force him, it's going to be her. Just then Harper rides up with Treece and challenges Marg to another fight because she stole her carpet-chested dink. Mighty Marg comes flying in off the top rope and uses her patented backhand as the two ladies throw down for dink. Harper employs the Paxer double palm technique and beats the absolute brakes off this woman until she concedes. Just like Treece, Marg feels no shame and hands over the pink slip to Dillon, who may look like a gorilla but is behaving like a gibbon. She also invites Harper to stay at her place while she searches for the missing doctor because she owns most of the dinks and he's probably one of them. Harper looks at all their faces and unable to find the doctor. Marg offers Gorda if she was just looking to be dinked from both ends.
Thank you.
She isn't and takes Dylan to a bedroom to talk, but his slave conditioning makes him assume that Harper brought him here to get pregnant. The slave master with daddy issues just goes along with it until being interrupted by the very dink they've been looking for. Not very hard by the look Dr. Connor gives, because he developed a cure and is completely sober. He's been working all this time to make enough to cure the whole population at once and now just needs to sneak it into the food. Dylan drinks a dose to regain his faculties and they devise a plan to trade him for Connor so that the doctor returns to Pax. Marg obviously agrees because she wants the dinky with the famous winky and the whole human trade goes better than you'd think. As they leave, Harper and Connor pour his antidote into the slave slop to be distributed among all of the households. Meanwhile, Dylan begins his seduction of Marg by claiming he has 14 wives and 41 children, which has never worked for me. This is music to Marg's ears, however, so she tells all of the other slaves to leave but for Gorda to retrieve the wine. They take this awkward show up to the bedroom where Dylan is fed the good stuff so that he can build up his stamina. When Marg thinks he might be trying to play her, she whips Dylan, but he pretends to be scared like a real dink. With that as proof he's doped up, they share in chemical conditioning, which is the scientific way of saying get drunk. They make out between each drink until something clicks, and it takes 2.5 bottles, so I guess it's love. Marg is completely smitten and Dylan's ready to go, but he's gone and drunk her into an unconscious state. Nearby, a party of Kreeg learn about the small village of women with powers over men, so they decide to raid it because why not? In the morning they arrive at Marg's ranch demanding to know the secret of the dinky dope, but she isn't willing to give it up. A few slaps later and Sergeant Shrek threatens to kill Harper, who they captured with Connor on their way out of town. Before they can harm her, Dylan leaps in and begins a dinky revolution because Connor's cure has begun to take effect. They all overwhelm the Kreeg because this woman has damn near 50 slaves while Harper is immediately knocked out. Connor uses the Donkey Kong punches and these crazy spread-legged leaps while Dylan shows off his traditional karate. Gorda does a pretty good job of getting thrown around and Isiah arrives on horseback because the antidote has worked among households. The moment he joins the fight, all of the Kreeg immediately surrender when the rest of the women arrive just in time. Treece says, "I told you sober men are better assets, because if they were still under the influence, Marg would be a mutant's hood ornament." The Council of She agrees to never dope a dink again, but all of the men just want to continue being slaves anyway, so whatever, I guess. Marg gets told she was duped about the 41 children, but she's too hungover and probably concussed to care. Dylan promises to return and slip her the occasional dinky, while Delba has decided she wants a 30-pound baby from Isiah. The team drive the Kreeg mobile back to Pax, and sometime later Pater is fully recovered, though still got that A. He never walks again, but I'm sure that's nothing, while Harper hasn't told anyone about assaulting a 200-year-old man. She thinks Dylan can't remember what happened while under the dinky influence, but his smirk says otherwise. And the movie ends.